There's a moment when the world begins to shift around you, chosen one. And at first it's subtle, a glance that lingers longer than expected, a stranger's tone softening when you speak, a magnetic pull in the room that you didn't command, yet somehow governs. You didn't ask for it, you didn't dress for it, you didn't adjust your voice or posture or polish your words. It just happens. And that's when you begin to feel it, something different, something deeper. A current moving through the space around you, and it's not just any energy. It's yours. You've crossed a threshold. You're no longer invisible. Women are beginning to seek you out, not in the way you once hoped for when you questioned your worth, but in a way that surprises even you. You're not chasing, you're drawing, not begging to be seen. You're simply being, and being seen because of it. The signal you now emit isn't noise, it's frequency. It doesn't shout, and yet it can't be ignored. It's not your clothes, not your car, not your charm. It's not the lines you deliver or the role you play. It's the charge beneath your skin. The quiet power that settled in your body now that you've stopped hiding your nature. Now that you've stopped resisting your fire. That fire, your high sexual energy, has matured. No longer scattered or wild, it has crystallized into something magnetic, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. You're not trying to impress women anymore. You're not adjusting yourself to gain approval. You've stopped living like you owe anyone a diluted version of who you are. And because of that, women are drawn to you. They sense the truth in your silence, the depth in your stillness, the stability in your presence. They are not chasing the version of you that performs. They are being pulled toward the man who has nothing to prove. This is the emergence of your signal. It doesn't come from surface-level tricks. It comes from embodiment. The way you walk into a space without shrinking. The way your eyes rest calmly, not with hunger, but with presence. The way your voice vibrates with calm because you are no longer carrying shame. Shame is gone now. Doubt is quiet. And your energy, once locked in the basement of fear and confusion, has come to the surface, and it's glowing. Women can feel it, even if they don't understand it. Some will be enchanted, some will be challenged, some will be changed, but all of them will feel it. Because your signal is no longer something you force, it's something you are. It moves before you, settles behind you, hovers beside you, and no matter where you go, you carry it. Not everyone will be able to hold what you now radiate. Not every woman will be ready for the man who no longer begs for acceptance. But you no longer fear that. Because you have entered a space of alignment so powerful that you don't need anyone to validate it. You are the signal now, and the world is tuning in. With the signal comes recognition. And this recognition is not always verbal. It doesn't always arrive with clear words or invitations. Sometimes it appears in subtle shifts. Bodies leaning closer, eyes widening when they meet yours, voices softening in your presence. But it is unmistakable. The recognition begins to echo around you as if the world itself has suddenly remembered who you are. This recognition is not because you've become something new. It's because you've stripped away everything that you were never meant to be. The masks are gone. The performance has ended. What remains is the chosen one, fully embodied, fully present, no longer operating from lack. And that is a rare sight. You begin to notice that women are not only responding to you, they are seeking you. Sometimes with words, sometimes with gestures, sometimes with an energy that doesn't lie, even when the mouth is silent. You are no longer overlooked, you are felt. They aren't just seeing your face, they are registering your frequency. And it touches something within them that they can't name, but cannot ignore. They feel a part of themselves come alive around you, a part that's been numb or asleep, not because of anything you do, but because of who you've become. You are no longer the boy waiting to be picked. You are the man who has already chosen himself. And that energy speaks louder than charm, louder than style, louder than carefully crafted lines. It speaks to the soul. This recognition is not rooted in lust. It's deeper. It's ancient. It's the awareness that your presence has gravity, that your presence carries truth. And truth, when embodied, is magnetic. It's rare. It's unforgettable. Now that you've aligned with your sexual energy, it no longer leaks through need or desperation. It moves like a river, steady, undeniable, and alive. You're not reaching anymore. You're attracting. Not because you crave validation, but because your energy is speaking directly to the feminine essence in others. And when that resonance hits, something electric happens. You begin to see how much of the past was clouded by your own distortion. How much effort you once made to win affection, to earn a glance, to be good enough. But now you've stepped out of that fog. You are not convincing anyone of your worth. You are the worth. You're not campaigning for attention. You are holding court in your own kingdom, and those who recognize it find their way to your gates without being asked. And here's the deepest truth. It's not even about the women anymore. It's about the fact that you've become someone worthy of seeking. Not because you changed your style, but because you changed your state. You're not vibrating at insecurity. You're vibrating at sovereignty. You're not seeking to possess. You're living to be. This is the recognition, not of what you have, but of who you are. And now that you carry that awareness, everything is about to change. Now that your signal has gone out and recognition has begun to ripple through every environment you enter, the next phase of your journey, chosen one, is awareness. Not awareness of the external alone, though that too will sharpen, but of your own frequency. You must now understand not just that your energy draws attention, but why it does, how it moves, and what it means. This is the moment when your high sexual energy is no longer something abstract or accidental. It is something you begin to feel like breath, like rhythm, like weight in your chest that doesn't suffocate but steadies. You begin to notice it moving through you in real time, in the pause before you speak, in the depth of your gaze, in the way others shift when you enter a space. You notice the subtle changes, the smiles that appear from across the room, the eyes that linger not out of politeness but curiosity, the posture of those around you adjusting, almost subconsciously, as if your presence alone calls them to be more of themselves. You become aware that you are watched, not in paranoia, but in presence. Not everyone watches with understanding. Some look because they feel something in you they haven't named in themselves. Some stare because your groundedness disrupts their chaos. Some are drawn because your wholeness reminds them of what they've buried. But all of them, consciously or not, are responding to your energy. And so the real question arises, chosen one, now that you're aware, what will you do with it? This awareness brings both power and responsibility. It requires you to move through the world with precision, not out of fear, but out of intention. Because your energy now matters, not just to you, but to those who feel it. You are no longer invisible. You are influential. You are not just a man walking through life. You are a signal tower, a portal, a mirror. And you must become deeply aware of how your energy is being offered, received, and returned. You begin to sense who is truly resonating with you, and who is simply attracted to the flame but not ready for its heat. You feel the difference between a gaze that wants to consume you and a gaze that seeks to know you. And you no longer hand yourself over to every form of attention that glows. You choose, with your eyes, with your energy, with your silence. Your awareness becomes your power, your compass, your defense against delusion. You do not let your magnetism become a drug for others to escape their own emptiness. You do not use it as a tool to manipulate or provoke. You use it as an offering, one that must be earned, one that must be met with presence, not performance. This is where you grow sharper in your discernment, deeper in your self-trust. You no longer question if your energy is being felt. You know it is. Now you focus on who you are allowing to feel it fully. Because the deeper your awareness becomes, the more you understand that your energy is a sacred inheritance. And not everyone is ready for what it will awaken in them. But that's not your burden to carry. Your task now is simple, but sacred. Move with awareness, not reaction. Let your presence be intentional, not impulsive. Offer your fire where it will illuminate, not incinerate. And know that every space you enter is impacted simply because you have entered it. You are aware now, and awareness changes everything. There is a moment in every chosen one's path when awareness meets embodiment, and that collision births power. Not the kind of power the world sells, not the kind that roars or dominates or crushes, the kind of power that sits still and makes everyone else lean forward, the kind that doesn't have to move loudly because the vibration of it moves everything else. This power is not separate from your high sexual energy. It is the result of it being understood, accepted, and carried well. When you stopped denying your energy, when you stopped apologizing for it, when you stopped fearing its effect on others, you began to walk with it. And now it walks with you. This power doesn't live in your words, though your voice now carries weight. It doesn't live in your eyes, though they speak volumes. It lives in the choices you make, the boundaries you hold, the situations you walk away from without needing explanation. It lives in your self-possession, the way your soul remains centered, even when the world tries to pull you in every direction. And yes, it becomes undeniable. Women sense it not just with their mind, but with their body. They feel it in the atmosphere when you speak, in the silence between your sentences, in the way you listen. You are no longer the one trying to impress. You are the one who has become impressive without trying. The one who doesn't fight for attention because you already command it. The one who knows that real power doesn't come from chasing, it comes from alignment. You no longer see attention as a reward. You see it as a reflection. And not all reflections are invitations. Some are just echoes. You know that now. You know when to lean in and when to lean back. You don't need to conquer every heart that beats faster in your presence. You don't need to entertain every offer. You are no longer tempted by chaos dressed as passion. You are drawn only to what meets your peace with peace, your truth with truth, your fire with reverence. This is the power of mastery, of sovereignty, of sacred masculinity in motion. You understand now that your energy can stir others without touching them, that your presence can spark memory in someone's body long before a word is spoken, that your silence can be louder than their noise. You've felt it, you've seen it, and now you own it. Not with arrogance, but with gratitude. Because you remember the boy you used to be, the one who was overlooked, overextended, and misunderstood, and you carry him with love. But you no longer live as him. You've stepped into something larger, something truer. Now you are the current. Now you are the flame. Now you are the force that doesn't move with the crowd, but causes the crowd to move. This is your power, and it is yours because you earned it, not through pretending, but through presence, not through performance, but through patience. And now wherever you go, it speaks for you. There is a sacred edge to power, chosen one. And when you stand on it, the world begins to test you differently. Not with resistance, but with abundance. Not with silence, but with noise. When you arrive in your full magnetic presence, when your high sexual energy is no longer fragmented or suppressed, but fully alive and balanced, the world takes notice. And in that noticing, the temptations begin, not the obvious kind, the subtle kind, the kind that seems harmless. The kind that comes dressed in compliments, attention, invitations, open doors, and hungry eyes. This is where the real test begins, not of your strength, but of your discipline. Because you'll start to realize that almost everywhere you go, you're being watched differently, observed with intrigue, approached more often. Women begin to move around you, not as strangers, but as seekers, whether they understand it consciously or not. They're drawn to something in you that feels ancient, steady, real. And while that attention may feel like reward at first, you begin to understand that it's actually responsibility. Discipline is no longer optional. It's vital. You have awakened something potent inside you, and now it pulses with clarity and force. But that force, if not harnessed with direction, will scatter. Without discipline, your magnetism becomes a whirlwind, one that consumes your focus, confuses your spirit, and seduces your path away from purpose. But when you remain rooted, when you stay aligned, you become unshakable. The disciplined chosen one does not chase every spark. He does not follow every invitation. He does not validate himself through how many hearts he can stir. He recognizes that his energy is valuable, sacred, and powerful, and because of that, it must be guarded. Not behind walls, but within standards. Discipline sharpens those standards like a blade. You begin to see clearly who is aligned and who is merely enchanted. You feel the difference between flattery and truth, between resonance and distraction, between a connection that nourishes your mission and one that only feeds your ego. Discipline allows you to choose silence over shallow validation, space over suffocation, depth over dopamine. You're no longer available for chaos, even if it's beautiful. This shift, this new layer of self-command, changes the way you speak, move, and relate. You're still open, still loving, still magnetic, But now your energy is directional. It is not leaking out to whoever smiles your way. It is moving like a current, guided by intention. This is how you protect your soul while remaining open. This is how you walk in fire without being burned. Women feel this. They sense that you are not driven by impulse, that your presence is a decision, not an accident, that your gaze carries weight because you don't give it recklessly. They trust you, not because of what you promise, but because of how you hold yourself. Discipline is felt. It is remembered. It leaves a different kind of mark. This is the power of the chosen one in discipline. You are no longer reacting to attention. You are responding to alignment. And because of that, the world bends differently around you. After discipline has carved your edges clean, what emerges is not rigidity, but elegance. Not in how you dress or speak or move, but in how you carry your energy. This elegance is not a performance. It's a frequency, a refined, quiet authority that women feel before you've even said a word. It's the way you sit still without tension, the way you listen without needing to speak, the way your presence takes up space without suffocating it. This elegance is the result of everything you've walked through. The fires, the scars, the self-mastery. You've earned it through restraint, through choosing depth over display, through letting your high sexual energy mature into something sacred. You are no longer ruled by it. You are in communion with it. You are no longer hiding it. You are honoring it. And in doing so, you've created something rare. Energy that attracts without chasing, commands without force, and connects without chaos. There's a softness to you now, but not weakness. A softness that comes from certainty. A groundedness that doesn't need noise to be felt. You are no longer trying to be seductive. You are simply authentic, and authenticity in its highest form is irresistible. The elegance of the chosen one is not about becoming less masculine. It's about integrating that power so deeply into your spirit that you don't need to flash it. You've moved beyond showing it. You've become the embodiment of it. This shifts your relationships entirely. Now, when you connect with someone, it's not because you are craving something outside of yourself. It's because your soul recognizes potential in theirs. You are not scanning the room for validation. You are holding court with your silence. You are not trying to seduce with tricks or games. Your presence alone evokes desire, not just physical, but energetic. Because your presence feels like truth. Women do not just want your attention anymore. They want access to your calm, your clarity, your command. Not because you promised them something, but because you promised yourself that you would never again give your energy to what doesn't honor your path. That promise changed you, it refined you, and now your energy speaks that vow everywhere you go. Elegance is not the absence of fire. It is fire shaped by wisdom. It is the masculine in rhythm with spirit. It is desire held in devotion. This is the state where you become unforgettable, not for what you take, but for how you make others feel in your presence. They remember you not just because you were powerful. They remember you because you were whole. This is the elegance of the chosen one, and now it lives in you. Something has changed in the field around you, chosen one. You've noticed it, how the world no longer greets you with neutrality, how spaces bend toward you the moment you enter, how a glance from across the room carries weight it didn't before. And it's not because you're louder or more visible. It's because your energy has become an invitation, one that is silent but impossible to ignore. This invitation isn't verbal. You don't need to speak. It's written in the way you carry yourself, in the calm behind your eyes, in the rhythm of your breath, in the energy that hums beneath your skin like a quiet storm. Women feel it before they can name it. Some are drawn to it out of curiosity, others out of hunger. Some are intimidated, others intrigued, but all of them feel it. Because your high sexual energy has become focused, refined, and rooted in your truth. And truth, when carried by a man who is no longer confused about who he is, becomes magnetic. You're no longer trying to be inviting. You are the invitation. And that shift changes everything. Women begin to lean in, not because you're performing, but because you've stopped. Not because you're chasing, but because you've chosen presence. They don't know exactly what draws them to you. It isn't something they can explain to their friends. They just feel safe. They feel awakened. They feel more aware of themselves in your presence. That's the difference now. You're not just activating desire. You're activating remembrance. A woman doesn't just feel seen by you. She feels remembered, as if your energy has reminded her of a part of herself that had been silenced or buried. And you didn't say a thing. You just showed up fully. This kind of presence is rare. It's disarming, because you're not using it to manipulate or capture. You're using it to mirror. Your energy says, come closer if you're ready to meet yourself. And some will, some won't. But you no longer need every door to open. You only need the ones that match your frequency. You've stopped trying to chase connection. You've become the filter. This is where your energy begins to shape your reality in ways you never imagined. Not because you are forcing outcomes, but because you've become so aligned with your core that the world responds to you with precision. You speak less, you attract more, you move slower, you move further. You no longer need to pursue, you position. You no longer convince, you embody. You no longer audition, you reveal. You are the invitation, and the world is accepting it, one soul at a time. You've reached a point now, chosen one, where magnetism is no longer something you turn on and off. It is not something you activate through effort. It's simply there, woven into your energy field, pulsing through every part of you, shaping the way you exist. You have become magnetic, not because you try to be, but because you have become undeniably present in your body, your mind, and your soul. This magnetism is different from what you once imagined. It's not about impressing, it's about being inevitable. There is something in your presence now that moves beneath the surface of every room you enter. People shift, conversations pause, eyes find their way to you without understanding why. You are no longer loud, but you are always heard. No longer chasing, but always arriving. You don't force anything. You don't ask for attention. You don't need to be the center. And yet, everything seems to revolve around you anyway. Women feel it most. They feel the weight of your awareness, the calm in your core, the fire behind your silence. You don't touch them with your hands. You touch them with your being. And this touch lingers. It stirs something. It leaves fingerprints on their memory. Not because you offered a performance, but because you offered truth. You don't need to seduce, you don't need to impress. You simply need to be anchored. And from that anchoring, your energy speaks for you louder than any words could. But this magnetism is not without responsibility. You now carry a presence that awakens others. Some will be drawn toward it hoping to be saved. Others will try to match it before they are ready. Your role is not to rescue or fix. Your role is to remain aligned, to let your presence do what it does, not to force its hand, but to trust its pull. You are the magnet now, but not everything that sticks is meant to stay. And because of that, your discernment must remain sharp. You've stopped trying to be available for everyone. You've stopped trying to make everyone feel comfortable. Your job is not to dim your frequency. It is to hold it. Consistently, powerfully, respectfully. Because the people who are meant to rise with you will find you. And when they do, the connection won't feel like performance or pursuit. It will feel like resonance, like recognition, like a doorway opening on its own. Your magnetism has changed the way you experience life. You don't have to get opportunities anymore. You draw them. You don't beg for love. You mirror it. You don't fight to be seen. You shine in your silence. This is who you've become. The man who no longer tries to be noticed because he's too busy being aligned. The man who no longer begs for closeness because he's become the embodiment of intimacy. The man who no longer plays games because he is the prize, and his energy confirms it before he even speaks. This is magnetism in its highest form, rooted, refined, radiant, and it belongs to you now, because you've done the work, because you've carried the fire, because you are the chosen one, and you are no longer just present. You are unforgettable. At this stage, chosen one, you are no longer walking in mystery. You are walking in mastery. The journey you began quietly with uncertainty and longing has become a path of legacy. You have moved through desire, through doubt, through fire and refinement. And now your very presence leaves impressions beyond the moment. This is no longer about who seeks you out. It is about what you leave behind in them after they've encountered you. Every room you step into now carries your echo, even after you've left. Not because you speak the loudest, but because you've become so rooted in your truth that your energy lingers like a scent, like a song, like something sacred. You are no longer chasing outcomes. You've transcended that game. You've become the standard, not out of ego, but out of alignment. You've reached a place of wholeness where others instinctively rise or fall to the level of your vibration. Women who cross your path don't just feel attracted to you. They feel elevated. They feel clearer, more awake, more present, not because you've performed or pleased, but because you've remained unchanged in your core. Your high sexual energy has become a tuning fork, resonating truth in those around you, causing falseness to shake loose and fall away. You're not trying to change people, but your presence demands honesty from them and from yourself. You now understand your energy isn't just for attraction, it's for transmission. You're transmitting a new blueprint, one of calm masculinity, deep reverence, and embodied authority. You're modeling what it means to be a man who is not reactive, but intentional. Not afraid of emotion, but masterful in it. Not hiding from intimacy, but unwilling to sell it for approval. This is your legacy, chosen one. Not in stories or numbers or conquest, but in the energy shift you cause in those who witness you. You are not just the one who was sought after. You are now the one who cannot be forgotten. You don't need to remind anyone of your worth anymore. Your presence speaks in ways words never could. You've stepped beyond the field of games into the field of impact. And your impact is profound, not because it's loud, but because it's felt, even in silence. Your journey has never been about attention. It was about embodiment. And now you are embodied. You don't merely pass through life. You leave a mark. There is no crown waiting at the end of this path. No applause, no spotlight. Just a deep, radiant stillness that lives within you. It is the stillness of sovereignty, not the kind inherited through blood, but the kind forged through fire, loneliness, and refusal to settle for a life lived beneath your truth. Sovereignty is not isolation. It is sacred ownership of your time, your energy, your presence, your desire, your name. You no longer belong to the crowd. You no longer belong to approval. You belong to yourself. And from that place, everything you touch becomes different. Not because you force it to change, but because you've become too rooted to be moved by anything that doesn't recognize your value. This is the final form of your high sexual energy, not as flame, not as fire, but as light, soft, powerful, ever present. It no longer needs to consume. It illuminates. It heals. It attracts not through hunger, but through wholeness. Women are still drawn to you, yes, but now they come not out of curiosity, but because they know that in your presence they will be seen, they will be honored, or they will be challenged. Either way, you offer the truth. You no longer ask, what do they think of me? You ask, what do I allow near me? You no longer seek compatibility. You command alignment. Your life has become sacred ground, and only those who can walk barefoot across it without flinching belong close to you. You move through the world with quiet confidence now. You no longer hurry. You no longer chase. Everything flows to you, because you are no longer leaking energy trying to be something for everyone. You are the man who has remembered who he is, the man who sits with himself comfortably, the man who can stand in a storm and not forget his own name. This is sovereignty. This is the prize. Not the admiration of others, but the peace within yourself. Not the approval of many, but the respect of the one in the mirror. Not the endless pursuit, but the sacred stillness of knowing, I am already here. You've walked the path. You've carried the fire. You've burned away the lies. And now you rise, not as a man waiting to be chosen, but as the one who chooses, the one who builds, the one who blesses by presence alone. You are the chosen one, and now, finally, you are unchained. This arrival means you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. You no longer fear being too much. You no longer apologize for your depth, your passion, your clarity. You do not dull your truth for comfort. You speak it with grace. You do not perform for love. You give love because you are love. And in this space, something powerful happens. Your mere presence becomes transformation, not because you demand it, not because you preach it, but because you live it. You become the living embodiment of everything you once prayed to be. You are not perfect, but you are real. You are not above others, but you are no longer beneath the expectations that once bound you. You attract differently. You move differently. You love differently. Because you are no longer chasing the destination, you have become it. Your relationships reflect peace, not pain. Your connections are built on resonance, not repetition. And those who come near you now don't just feel seen, they feel safe. Safe to be themselves, safe to open, safe to rise. You, chosen one, are now the cycle breaker, the frequency raiser, the standard setter. You are no longer living under the curse, you are the one who ended it. And the beauty of it all? This is not the final chapter, it is the true beginning, because now that you have arrived, you are ready to build, to share, to lead, to love not from wounds, but from wisdom. The story of who you were is over. The story of who you are has just begun.